Part 29. Fantasy, Me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 281. Buzz. In the distant sky. Meng Qingzi pressed down with one hand, and a black symbol in his palm glowed, and a black light bloomed, turning into a formation in the void. All the people he had just thrown out were sealed in a small within the space. There are too many of these people. They all come from different forces. It can be said that one move can affect the whole body. It is impossible for him to kill them all. If he kills them all, the things involved will be too serious. As the emperor, he also it's hard to resist. Although he may not have anything happen to him, there is still the 9 nether demon sect behind him. There are some things that you have to worry about. In this way, it should be almost done. Meng Qingzi nodded with satisfaction. The 9 nether demon sect may not be very good, but in terms of formations, it is not said to be the top in the Tianyuan world, but it is still outstanding. There are not many sects that can compete with them in formations. Many great masters of formations came from the 9 nether demon sect. The formations he casually set up were not something that ordinary people could break open. It would not be a big problem to seal a group of theatergoers. Next, we will prepare a big gift for the people in the Immortal Palace. Meng Qingzi's whole body was glowing. He held his palm in the air, and a black flag appeared out of thin air. The flagpole was pitch black, with a strong blood evil aura, like a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. Wow! The flagpole was 3 feet high and made a hunting sound. The moment it appeared, it froze the void. An inexplicable wave stirred up the power of heaven and earth. It turned into lines that ordinary people could not see, and pulled tens of millions of miles. The earth dragon energy inside quickly gathered together. Zheng! 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 In Meng Qingzi's hand, pieces of divine materials flew out and spread all over the sky and underground. A huge formation gradually took shape. At this moment, ghosts cried and gods howled, and the world trembled. All the gods seemed to be afraid. In the formation, for a while, blood rain poured down, and for a moment the divine flowers bloomed. In the blood light, there were crystal petals flying, which was extremely weird. The creatures shrouded in the formation all trembled. A great emperor-killing formation was born, even in the formation. Outside, I can't feel any breath, but there is still an uneasy feeling that makes people's hearts tingle. I can't help but want to escape from this world. Clang! The last black flag returned to its position. An emperor's formation suddenly formed and began to operate. The terrifying power of killing split the void, like a purgatory, emerging from under the 9 netherworld. This formation, in the formation for the first time, it disappeared quietly. It was as if it had never appeared. Outside the Immortal Palace, the scenery remained the same. If you didn't come out or step into the formation, it would be hard to imagine that here, suddenly, there would be more. He created a great emperor-killing formation. Even the great emperor will suffer big losses if he is not clear about the situation. Meng Qingzi stood in the formation, looking at the place where the true immortal passed down his heritage. At this moment, his breath was no longer restrained, and his eyes were deep, as if Wang Yang is condensed and unfathomable. Look carefully. Deep in the eyes, the universe and galaxies are disillusioned, the heavens collapse, the world is created, and all souls are born. That kind of eyes makes people throb, as if they are facing an ancient. He is like a god and demon, and his soul will tremble just by looking at him. Although he does not have imperial soldiers, the formation beside him is the best imperial soldiers. Fighting on his home ground, he is not afraid of anyone one-on-one. Not to mention, almost all the people who came out from the land of true immortal inheritance were injured. If I remember correctly, the first person to come out from the true immortal inheritance place was Fang Han, and I don't know what good things he got. Meng Qingzi murmured to himself. The black demonic energy rolled under his feet, making the sound of mountains and tsunamis. The sky and the earth collapsed. The power of the emperor turned into substance, and the oppressive void was distorted. But these auras were all isolated by the formation. There was no a trace of it escaped. A jade slip appeared in his hand, and he took another look at the contents. After confirming that it was correct, he breathed a sigh of relief. All he had to do next was to wait quietly for the person inside to come out. It wouldn't take long. Especially Fang Han. His trump card can only be used twice, and each time can only be used for 1 hour. Even if he sneaks in quietly, once exposed, his trump card will not allow him to fight for a long time, and he will be dragged through. In 2 hours, Fang Han will definitely die. 3 days later, Meng Qingzi stood in the formation and waited quietly. There is no impatience. He can afford to wait for this time, and he is the great emperor himself. He is very clear about the combat power of the great emperor level, even if one side cannot defeat the other. But it won't be defeated too quickly. It's only been 3 days, and I can't even see the situation clearly. After all, every great emperor is a genius in his own era. It will take at least a few months, or even a year, for them to decide the winner. With the current situation where killing moves are coming out one after another, it will take more than 10 days. Boom. At this moment, a shocking loud noise was heard in the Immortal Palace. This kind of noise never stopped within 3 days. Every day, the emperor coughed up blood and the emperor's soldiers flew across the sky, but this sound, it was different from before. Because this voice seemed to be very close to the entrance of the Immortal Palace. Coming. Meng Qingzi looked overjoyed and looked in the direction of the Immortal Palace. There were 2 figures among them, one behind the other, rushing toward the outside world at an extremely fast speed. Like 2 comets, piercing the void. Their breath was not the slightest bit. Without any concealment, they ran completely rampant, passing through one battlefield after another, and flew straight out in the angry eyes of many people. If the auras of the 2 of them were not above the great emperor, and others did not want to make too many enemies, these 2 people who do this will inevitably be surrounded. There is a person in front, wearing a light blue robe, with a young face and clear eyes. Although he has the aura of the great emperor, he does not have the sense of vicissitudes of the great emperor at all. It is difficult to use his own strength. Relatively dull. As if all the strength appeared out of thin air. If not Fang Han, who else could it be? At this time, Fang Han's scalp was numb. Following the instructions of the senior poster, and in the inheritance left by his ancestor, I finally found what I wanted, but what I didn't expect was that at the last moment, I actually killed an extremely terrifying emperor. The opponent's strength reached the late emperor stage. Although, it was slightly lower than his peak emperor strength. First line. But the difference is that his strength is accumulated bit by bit. When used, he can use it with ease, and every move is terrifying. But his strength is given away by his future self. In this before, he didn't know how people at the level of the great emperor fought against each other. It was okay to use the emperor's peak strength to torture people, but once he met a strong person at the level of the great emperor, he would be a little embarrassed. They didn't give in to him at all, so don't in an hour, even in a month, he may not be able to defeat the opponent. Once the war starts completely and is held back by others, he will definitely not be able to run away in the end. An hour has almost passed. Fang Han calculated the time in his mind and looked ugly. He looked back and saw that the distance between the emperor and the emperor behind him had not been widened. He was still following him closely, as if he would not give up until he achieved his goal. We can only rely on the news from our seniors. Fang Han's face was as dark as water, and he thought with determination. A jade slip appeared in his hand. It recorded the method of breaking an imperial level formation. This was the information he bought at a great price. According to the senior, this is the large formation that Menkingzi has set up at the exit of the true immortal inheritance. With the method to break the formation, he will be able to rush out. As long as he leaves the formation, he will have peace of mind. Menkingzi cannot give up the formation to chase him. After all, he had put so much effort into setting up a formation, and just because he was alone, he threw the formation away. That was almost impossible. After all, the power of a formation controlled by someone is completely different from that controlled by no one. But the key point is, it has only been 3 days since I entered the land of true immortal inheritance. Has Menkingzi set up a formation? If not, what will he do? The emperor-level formation is not a cabbage on the roadside. The materials consumed, and the hard work that a large sect has put into it is difficult for a large sect to bear. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 282. Little beast, you can't run away. Behind Fang Han. A humanoid creature looks similar to a human race, but it carries 12 wings. Every time the wings vibrate, it stirs up strong winds in the sky. Between the wings, there are bursts of sky thunder, as if it is riding on the sky thunder. Very the horror. If he hadn't been lower than Fang Han's cultivation level, he would have caught up with Fang Han long ago. But even so, he could barely keep up with Fang Han. Hand over what you have in your hands, and I will spare your life. The humanoid creature spoke with an extremely cold voice that made people's hair stand on end. Its eyes were very captivating. There were wisps of golden light and the chill was overwhelming. You dream, what happened today, I will definitely settle with you in the future. Fang Han shouted. This inheritance was originally left by his ancestors. It was enough for a group of people to come in and snatch it. Today, there are still people who want to snatch what is in his hands. How can he not be angry? Then you are looking for death. The humanoid creature's eyes opened and closed, its divine light grew strong, and it shot out 2 dragon-shaped light beams, turning into 2 golden divine swords. It had the power to cut off the world and was very terrifying. The divine sword broke through the air and struck down with force. It wanted to kill Fang. Han's ultimate move is here. Your strength should not belong to you. Without this power that does not belong to you, how long can you persist? The humanoid creature said indifferently. His tone was full of coldness and confidence. It was like a high-altitude god watching the ants at his feet, struggling and wailing. That's too much. Fang Han yelled. He made seals with both hands and shot backwards. He captured the dragon with his left hand and lured the phoenix with his right hand. He looked unparalleled, majestic, and extremely powerful. But only he knew the real situation. All he had left was his trump card. It was less than a quarter of an hour, and as the entanglement continued, it was difficult for him to escape from the perception range of a great emperor. A real dragon roared into the sky, and the immortal phoenix spread its wings next to it. The 2 breaths were connected, and they became one. The 2 seals were combined, and their power was unparalleled, all rushed towards the humanoid creatures behind. Boom! Clang! The divine sword and the real dragon collided together, splitting the void, as if countless stars exploded, bursting out with power that destroyed the heaven and earth. The sound of cracking gold and cracking stone shattered the sky. This place exploded. It turned into chaos. As if returning to the era before the beginning of the world. Is that all? Die. The humanoid creature said indifferently. He shot the air with his palm, and a golden spear appeared, with a golden dragon wrapped around it. It let out bursts of dragon roars, and golden thunder spread out. It wanted to destroy the world. Senior Mang, save me. At this moment, Fang Han looked back, and his scalp suddenly went numb. The other party was getting serious, but his trump card was at the end. He had only one chance left. He didn't want to use it, because he couldn't escape if he used it. Chase. At this moment, the only way to survive is to follow the instructions of the senior poster, rush out of the immortal palace and enter the formation set up by Menkingzi. He was worried that Menkingzi had not set up the formation yet, so he shouted first. Anyway, Menkingzi had not entered the real formation. In the land of immortal inheritance, he must be at the door at this time. He shouted loudly, let alone the emperor. Even ordinary people can hear it clearly. Menkingzi will definitely react when he hears it. No one can save you. The humanoid creature said arrogantly. In the emperor's killing array. Menkingzi is dressed in a black robe, his hair is naturally disheveled, and his long body reaches the 9 heavens above and the 9 ghosts below. He stands in the world, with the sun and moon rising and falling in his eyes, and the stars and rivers disappearing. Like a statue, the 9 nether demon lord from boundless purgatory, dominates everything in the world. He looked at the image of 2 figures chasing each other wildly in the sky, with indifferent smiles on their faces. He had seen it a long time ago. But he did not choose to take action immediately. It comes down to it. It's because he doesn't want to do it too early and alert the enemy. And he had just become emperor now, and without the emperor's soldiers, he couldn't even defeat Fang Han in a battle, let alone stop the creature with 12 wings on his back. The best way? Just stay here and wait. Fang Han came out the earliest. According to the information given by the senior poster, he should have received the inheritance left by his ancestor. Menkingzi glanced at Fang Han. He knew Fang Han's trump card, and now that Fang Han has come to his door, this is his opportunity. As for the creature behind, Menkingzi glanced at the jade slip in his hand and said to himself he should be the commander-in-chief of the everlasting city. This emperor named Hongxian had already fought with others before he met Fang Han, and there were some injuries, but not serious. The current combat power is still around 8 or 9 levels. Ordinary people would definitely die if they encountered him. Fang Han got an important opportunity. It seems that Hongxian has never been to Tianji Tower, but with his own strength, he should also get some good things. Meng Kingzi thought in his mind. Some time ago, he and Aoxian were guarding the Wang city. He noticed almost everyone who had been to Tianji Tower. Even if he had never seen some great emperors, he still remembered a trace of them. The power on Hongxian was very unfamiliar at the moment. He could be sure that Hongxian had never been to Tianji Tower. Since he had never been to Tianji Tower, he could confirm it. The other party would definitely not know that he had set up an array here. As long as he stepped into it with the formation, I took advantage of his unpreparedness and struck him hard. When he was seriously injured, I relied on the power of the formation to deal with him, which was easy. And Fang Han. At that time, it was estimated that it would take an hour. Not much more. He can take care of the 2 of them slowly. He has chosen to have them all, a great emperor and a true immortal queen. With these 2 people, his trip has been worthwhile. Just here at this time, a cry for help came. When Menkingzi heard the words, the smile on his face became more and more radiant. Fang Han couldn't hold on any longer. It seems that my chance is coming. Fang Han, who has lost the strength of the emperor, is a junior, can't even make waves in the palm of his hand. He has to flatten and round it all depends on his personal preference. Boom. There was a loud noise. Fang Han fought again with Hongxian from behind. The 2 fought and retreated, and almost at the same time, they entered the formation set up by Menkingzi. Menkingzi's eyes lit up, and he secretly said, "What a good opportunity." Boom. He made seals with both hands, and countless black flags appeared out of thin air and were inserted into the void. The sky and the earth within tens of thousands of miles around turned into ink in an instant. Jet black. Boom. There was an earth-shaking loud noise, and the demonic energy boiled. It rushed thousands of miles away, revealing murderous intent that shocked the world, and flew up against the sky, falling towards the two figures. This moment, the universe roared, the heaven and the earth seemed to be opening for the first time, everything was shattered, chaos and mist filled the air, there was divine glory and turbulence everywhere. Even the great emperor has lingering fears. If he is not careful, he may lose everything. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 283. Not good. Seeing the changes in the surrounding environment, Hongxian was furious, and a terrible evil aura appeared on his face. It only took a moment. He had already recognized that this was a great emperor-killing formation. It was obviously deliberately arranged here by someone with intentions. The inheritance of the true immortal is only 3 years old. Day. Now a formation appeared. Obviously, the person who set up the formation had been preparing for a long time. Today's attack directly caught him off guard. Even though he reacted quickly and blocked the imperial weapon in his hand. But still not completely blocked. Boom. The whole world shook for a while, and the heaven and earth seemed to collapse. The pitch-black brilliance, like a flame, was burning blazingly, carrying an astonishing demonic nature. Hongxian was smashed into the depths of the earth. The earth cracked, and terrifying lines appeared. Cracks, like spider webs, spread in all directions. In the formation, countless mountain peaks collapsed. It was as if the world was being destroyed, filled with the aura of destruction. On the ground, rocks penetrated the clouds, and it was covered with a layer of dark red. The bloodstains carried a shocking evil aura. They were the essence and blood of the great emperor, mixed with the soil. It gave the soil a powerful force. It was amazing. Gudong. Fang Han swallowed his saliva. He flew 1,000,000 miles away, smashing into many mountains and rivers. His clothes were torn, and one of his arms turned into blood mist. But fortunately, he escaped. The blood mist rolled, they gathered together and relied on the emperor's strength to quickly restore his broken arm to its original state. There really is a formation. Fang Han murmured. The moment he stepped out of the immortal palace. Although he was fighting Hongxian, he had been wary of Meng Qingzi in his heart. Now it seems that this wariness is necessary. Otherwise, I'm afraid it's the same as Hongxian just now. The opponent is a real emperor. If you resist such a blow, you may only be severely injured, but you won't die easily, and he is not that simple. He has narrowly avoided one after another. Tribulation. He held the jade slip and glanced at its contents. Then he raised his head and scanned the entire formation, quickly finding a way out. Little friend Fang Han, long time no see. At this time, Meng Qingzi walked out with a warm smile on his face. He had severely injured Hongxian. However, Fang Han escaped the disaster, which he did not expect. But this did not hinder what? The trump card in Fang Han's hand can increase his strength to the peak of the great emperor. It is reasonable to react faster. How long can you hold on to the trump card in your hand? Meng Qingzi asked with a smile. Before Fang Han could answer, he said, I guess I can't last much longer. Is there still a quarter of an hour? Senior Meng, what do you mean? Fang Han looked indifferent, glanced at the formations around him, and said in a cold voice. It's nothing, I'm just trying to save you out of kindness. Meng Qingzi is very thick-skinned. Even if he attacks someone just now, he can still avoid blushing or gasping for breath. He said gently. My little friend, have you received the inheritance left by your ancestors? How about studying it together with me? The skills left by a supreme immortal are not something that ordinary people can understand. As a junior, it is difficult for you to understand the secrets. I can give you some pointers. This doesn't bother senior anymore. Fang Han slowly backed up and approached a way out of the formation. Both of them were thinking about their own plans. Fang Han knew that Meng Qingzi was stalling for time. After all, he had used his trump card, and the Emperor's peak strength could last for an hour. During this time, Meng Qingzi does not want to take action. Once a war breaks out, he may not be able to take advantage. And he also wants to make Meng Qingzi careless, because only in this way can he leave easily. Little friend Fang Han, what you said is wrong. The inheritance of the Supreme Immortal is too important. If the news leaks out, countless people will be tempted. And the water in the two worlds, Zixuan realm and Tianyuan realm, is too deep for you to grasp. My friend, you are still young and have a long road ahead. You may not need to rely on the skills left by your ancestors. Listen to my advice and hand over the inheritance of the true immortal to me. I am a great emperor, I will help you keep this inheritance, and I will return it to you after you become emperor. Meng Qingzi's words were serious and thoughtful, and he had the emotion of someone who had experienced it. He had once been young and high-spirited, but he was still very aware of the mentality of a junior like Fang Han. In his opinion, his own big formation, perfect, not to mention that Fang Han is just an ordinary junior once his time has passed. Even if he is the emperor, what can he do? He cannot do without the formation, and he is still eaten to death by himself. Senior Meng, have you forgotten that I was alone in the Tianji Tower for a while? Fang Han took a step back again and suddenly smiled. A jade slip appeared in his hand. The brilliance flickered. Meng Qingzi's calm expression froze, and a bad premonition arose in his heart. He said in a deep voice, "What news did you buy from the senior poster?" "This great formation, the way to break the formation." Fang Han let out a long laugh. With a stroke of his palm, a way out appeared in the entire formation, leading to the outside world. He didn't hesitate at all. He stepped directly into it, and his figure disappeared. "Stop leaving." Meng Qingzi's expression changed drastically. He didn't expect that he would be pecked in the eye by an eagle all day long. A great emperor would be manipulated by a junior. Now, he finally understands. He is here when he was scheming against Fang Han was also scheming against himself. Before, in the Tianji Tower, he and Ao Xian were sent out of the Tianji Tower by their seniors, and the news that Fang Han knew how to buy was actually the method to crack his own formation. For a formation that has not yet been arranged, the senior actually handed over the method of breaking the formation to Fang Han in advance. In other words, the senior already knew what formation he was going to arrange. Is this a profit? Leave it to me. Meng Qingzi was extremely angry. He grabbed out a palm that covered the sky and the sun. It extended beyond the formation and was boundless. The sun and moon rotated between the palms of his fingers, which was boundless in terror. It suddenly covered Fang Han below. Also, before it fell, the power of the great emperor filled the air, and countless mountains that were oppressed collapsed. Many people who saw the scene just felt short of breath, as if the world was about to end. "Senior, there is no need to give it away." Fang Han didn't panic. He formed a seal with one hand. A symbol in his palm rose into the sky, turned into a blazing sun, and collided with his palm. There was a deafening roar. The two of them fought an earth-shattering fight. The impact caused the universe to tremble, and thousands of stars exploded in the void. The boundless land turned into a desert. "Senior, you should think about how to deal with that being in the formation." Fang Han said something again. It reached Meng Qingzi's ears from an endless distance away. And Fang Han had disappeared at this time. Although, he didn't have much time left, but the emperor was rushing too fast, and one step stepping out, he crossed several star fields. After 3 or 2 steps, Fang Han had arrived at the edge of the purple mysterious realm. After that, Fang Han's aura disappeared between heaven and earth. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 284. Hateful. Meng Qingzi's old face turned black. He raised his steps and wanted to chase him out. But then he took his steps back again. It was easy to chase him out by himself, but his hard work cost a lot of resources, and the formation he set up was just it's like throwing it away in vain. Without his own control, this formation can't stop a great emperor at all. More importantly, he is not sure how much information Fang Han bought in Tianji Tower. What if the senior owner of the building counts him? What should I do if I chase him out? In the end, I couldn't catch Fang Han and I also lost a formation. No matter how I calculated this transaction, it was too much of a loss. The inheritance left by a true immortal should have a lot of benefits, but I don't believe it. Some people would predict in advance that I will set up an array here. Meng Qingzi thought in his mind. The thought has not yet come to an end. Roar. A roar came. The earth shook, rocks flew apart, and the ground within a million miles radius exploded. A majestic figure, covered with golden hair, burst out of the ground. This figure is too terrifying. It was 10,000 feet high, its hair was like divine gold, it looked indestructible, it was flowing with bright brilliance, it was extremely terrifying, and it was wrapped in thick mist. Shocking. On his back, 12 wings spread out, most of which were broken, and the golden blood turned into a small lake under his body. This is the blood of the Emperor. Infinite power, powerful power emanating from it. Meng Qingzi, you are looking for death. A deafening roar spread throughout the formation, making people frightened. A pair of eyes, without any emotion, fell on Meng Qingzi. Boom. Hongxian took a step forward. His tall body suddenly cracked the ground, his hair was breathtaking, and his energy and blood were overwhelming. He was like an ancient ferocious beast. He had returned from the long river of time. Even though he had been seriously injured, he still felt heart-stopping. The power of Hongxian. Meng Qingzi narrowed his eyes. From the Tianji Tower, he already knew that the first one to appear was Fang Han, and the second one was Hongxian, but what he didn't expect was that the two would appear in this way. According to judging from the information given by the senior poster, Hongxian had been injured before. Now, he was attacked by me in a sneak attack. The injuries on his body are absolutely serious. Even if Hongxian was stronger than him before, he can't say no now. Okay. I am waiting for work, and I have the help of formations. The strength of both sides is ebbing and flowing, and it seems not difficult to kill the other side. Do you know my name? Hongxian made a low voice. Between the golden hair and chaotic energy, a pair of bright red eyes revealed, which made people horrified. As the commander-in-chief of the everlasting city, he has been from the day he was born to today. If you haven't traveled around Tianyuan world before, it doesn't mean you can't go there. But I don't want to go. In his opinion, Tianyuan world is too weak. For tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years, no great emperor would be born. The entire world combined is not as good as a small or medium-sized force in the original world. This shows how weak Tianyuan world is in their eyes. That's why they are too lazy to go to Tianyuan world and just want to return to their original world. If the true immortals hadn't been born, perhaps from the time they arrived until the time they left, the creatures in the Tianyuan world would not know that they were in their world. There was such a terrifying force. Not only do I know your name, but I also know that you come from the everlasting city and have been looking for a way back. Am I right? Meng Qingzi said eloquently. From the other party's reaction, he had actually confirmed that Hongxian came from the everlasting city. News about the purchase of Tianji building. Hongxian took a step forward again, without approaching too much. Because, if there was no time, Meng Qingzi had slowly raised one of his hands. The surrounding formations were moving. It was unimaginable that the killing power rose into the sky, making his body lustful. Cracked. Meng Qingzi did not answer, his face was very cold. It seems that the owner of Tianji told you this. Hongxian said firmly. Tianhuang Eternal City is in the Tianyuan world. Although they don't live in the world, they still know everything that happens in the Tianyuan world. Especially the Tianji Tower. After all, from the appearance of the Tianji Tower to the present, it has set off there was an uproar. Many forces were destroyed because of this, and they single-handedly pushed the two worlds to merge together. They were unable to sit still in the eternal city in the transcendent world. In the past, if they didn't go to the Tianji Tower, it would be because they don't think that the master of Tianji can deduce the world. The world he originally lived in was very scary. In their eyes, the Tianyuan world is just a small pond. How can a real dragon appear in a small pond? But after what happened today, through Meng Qingzi's words, he can be sure that a true dragon has really appeared in the small pond in Tianyuan world. Sitting in the attic. The Tianji building owner already knows everything. The other party can calculate it. Since the ancient city does not belong to the Tianyuan realm, does that count as their way back? If that is the case, they should go to the Tianji Tower in the ancient city. Let go of a way out, I won't argue with you today. Hongxian said. This time, the biggest gain from the trip to the true immortal heritage site was not the opportunity, but the news that Meng Qingzi inadvertently revealed. As long as he can return to the original world. A true immortal heritage, that's all. They don't care. Can. Meng Qingzi nodded and said, leave the imperial soldiers and the storage ring on your body. Then you are looking for death. Hongxian roared. The hair on his body stood up, and his eyes became even more blood red, revealing an unparalleled domineering force that swept every corner of the formation in an instant. Then, with a flash of light, his figure disappeared on the spot and reappeared, directly came in front of Meng Qingzi. A big white foot, like a golden mountain, swirled around Tao and Principle, as if rushing out of the long river of time, with billions of powerful force. It stepped down with a bang. Who will live and who will die? It's uncertain. Meng Qingzi responded coldly, seemingly without any worries. As the emperor, he exuded a self-centered aura at this moment. His black hair was disheveled and his eyes were deep, like a demon lord, with strands of demonic energy gathering towards him. Go. At the end, the dark demonic energy, like a waterfall, fell down and poured on the body, forming a black Wangyang that made the starry sky tremble. He did not rush to take action, but made a stroke in the void, pulling the power of the formation turned into a sea of demons and spread out mightily. Boom! The big foot fell and was blocked by the formation, causing a loud noise. If you were at your peak, I would probably shy away from you, but it's different now. Meng Qingzi stood in the formation, with demonic energy surging all over his body. His eyes were more intimidating than the heavenly sword, and he had the aura to dominate the world. Wisps of fluctuations came out and spread into the distance, making the sky tremble. Even Hongxian felt it. It creates a kind of pressure. The emperor who is proficient in formations is really difficult to deal with. If he cannot break the formation, he will be played to death by the opponent sooner or later. When the time comes, he will die, but the opponent will remain unscathed. This is the essence of the formation. The horror. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 285. Boom. The Emperor's killing formation is in motion. The sky is cracked, the stars are trembling, and they are about to fall. Meng Qingzi presses it with one hand, and the entire formation seems to come to life. The evil energy rushes into the night, destroying the heaven and earth, and blood-red swords light. Kill Xiang Hongxian where he is. How long can you persist in the formation after being severely injured? Meng Qingzi said indifferently. With his long hair flying, he and the formation almost became one, summoning the power of heaven and earth, and he was invincible. At this time, the formation completely revived, as if it had the will of the gods, and the formation patterns intertwined into billions wisps of black light, densely packed, formed a large net that covered the sky and the sun. The sword light was in front. The giant net was behind, sealing every corner of the world. The terrifying murderous intention made people's bodies shake. It's going to explode. Even as an emperor, it's very uncomfortable. Meng Qingzi, you are seeking death. Hongxian roared. His cultivation reaches the sky, stimulating the origin of all things, allowing all the stars and rivers in the sky to merge into one body, and he has a power that surpasses everything in the world. Boom! Thousands of starlights gathered together. It turned into a big hand, went up against the sky, and collided with thousands of sword lights. Countless rays of light collapsed. The entire formation was shaking, as if it was about to disintegrate. Hongxian roared, 10 seconds. Brave, even though his body was covered with scars, he still exuded blazing brilliance. The two launched a peerless battle. The stars in the sky fell one after another, as vast as Wangyang, as far as the eye could see, with silver-white brilliance and incomparable magnificence. This battle, very tragic. Meng Qingzi was well prepared, set up formations in advance, and seriously injured Hongxian in a sneak attack. However, Hongxian had a deep foundation after all, and it was difficult for the two to tell the difference for a while. 10 days later. Ah! A scream came out. In the formation, billions of killing rays fell, leaving Hongxian's skin and flesh torn, his bones covered with white bones, and golden blood splattered. He suffered unimaginable heavy injuries. I have been preparing for this for so long. If I let you run away, wouldn't it be a waste of all my efforts? Meng Qingzi's eyes were blazing. A pair of eyes seemed to have turned into black holes, with no whites or pupils, and became one body. They looked very terrifying. He recited the Magic Sutra, and a perfect Magic Sutra came across the long river of time. Symbols rushed out, emitting magic light, and enveloped Hongxian. Meng Qingzi did not hesitate at all. He moved his hands, and with the help of the power of the formation, struck another blow. The vast sky was trembling with waves of magic light. This blow, shocking the world and the earth, weeping ghosts and gods, accompanied by bursts of crying sounds of gods and demons, the universe shook violently, as if it was about to collapse. This seemed to be a heavenly magic law, possessing the power of killing gods. Click! Hongxian groaned, and his huge body flew backwards. The whole body was split into two in mid-air. The broken bones were terrifying. The two sections of his body were covered with cracks, revealing white bone stubble and dripping with blood. Shocking. Burst. Hongxian looked pale and shouted coldly. Half of his body was filled with a terrifying aura, as if he was about to destroy the world. The golden light was overwhelming, shocking the six paths. Boom! There was a loud noise. The emperor's body exploded with overwhelming power. Half of his body was blown up in the formation, and a gap was opened. He took advantage of the moment when the formation had not recovered, and flew out without a moment's notice. At this time, his injuries were too severe. It's too serious. He can't continue the war. If he can't escape, he is really in danger of being suppressed by Meng Qingzi, a late emperor. If he is suppressed by a person who has just become an emperor, even if he doesn't die, his reputation will be completely finished. What a decisive method. Meng Qingzi raised his eyebrows, and he flicked out his fingers, arriving first. When Hongxian was about to leave, he shook one of his arms into a blood mist. A dark storage ring was captured by him in the blood mist. "Come here." He was a little regretful that he could not keep Hongxian completely, let alone snatch the opponent's imperial soldiers. But when he saw the items in the storage ring, he suddenly smiled. "With this storage ring, I won't lose anything on this trip. Hongxian is not dead, this is a disaster." Meng Qingzi was a little worried. But not for long. This trace of worry was forgotten by him. The jade slip appeared in his hand, and he glanced at its contents to confirm the next candidate who would come out of the Immortal Palace. Offending one person is also offending, and offending a group of people is also offending. I just stopped doing it, made a lot of money, and then went to Dawang City to practice hard in seclusion and never come out again. As early as when he bought the news, he had already expected today's situation. Those emperors are all amazing and talented. Each one has his own unique tricks. He can't kill them easily. A few of them ran out. It makes sense. By doing what he did today, he was already standing on the opposite side of many great emperors. If he backed down at this moment, that would not be his style. Is anyone coming again? Meng Qingzi glanced at the void in front of him, and then recalled the contents of the jade slip. A cold light flashed in his eyes. This time, the person came out of the Immortal Palace. If he remembered correctly, he should be someone from the Zixuan realm. There is an emperor in the restricted area. This emperor is seriously injured and has to withdraw from the battlefield. If the opponent steps into the formation he has set up, he is 70% sure that he can kill the opponent. At the same time, in the Tianji Tower, the two sat opposite each other. In front of the two of them, a light blue screen floated in the void, with the screen divided into several parts. Every serving. Different scenes are playing out. Li Yun was lying on the bench with a cup of tea in his hand, taking a sip from time to time and looking attentively. This Meng Qingzi is worthy of being a demon. His methods are really ruthless. Even the Emperor of the Forbidden Zone in the Purple Xian realm dares to attack him. He is too courageous. Ling Xiao is lucky. Has he found the magic material he wants? In this way, his imperial weapon can almost be successfully refined. This Ao Xian. Li Yun clicked his tongue in surprise. Opposite him is a middle-aged man. He is the leader of the Dragon Clan. In the past, not only in the Dragon Clan, but also in the entire Tianyuan world, he was also a figure who stood at the top. But at this moment, he was very reserved in the Tianji Tower. Like a young man, he doesn't dare to be presumptuous. My ancestor has to be honest here. He is a clan leader. To be honest, he doesn't mean much. He was just slapped to death by the master of Tianji. Ao Xian probably has to come to apologize in person. Senior. The leader of the Dragon Clan held the jade slip in his hand, and a gleam of light flashed on it. He penetrated it with his spiritual consciousness, took a look at the contents, and asked softly. The ancestor told the younger generation to ask the seniors, in the true immortal inheritance, did that true immortal leave behind any cultivation methods? Said. He took out a great saint-level item and placed it in front of Li Yun. Left behind. Li Yun took a sip of tea and said slowly. He put away the items and added again. However, it has been taken away by Fang Han. Ah! The leader of the Dragon Clan was stunned for a moment, communicated with Ao Xian through the jade slips for a while, and then asked again, Senior, what else is of the highest value in the inheritance of the true immortals now? And it wasn't touched by anyone else. Li Yun pondered for a moment, raised two fingers, and said two quasi-emperor level items. Good. The leader of the Dragon Clan gritted his teeth. Although his heart ached, he still happily took out two quasi-emperor level items and placed them in front of Li Yun. The ancestor of the Fang family left behind a piece of enlightenment platform. After hundreds of millions of years, some true immortals are still enlightened. If he can get it in his hands, it will be enough for Aotian to have no shackles before he becomes a true immortal. Li Yun said casually. As soon as he finished speaking, a jade slip flew out from his hand and landed in the hands of the Dragon Clan leader. This is the route to the Enlightenment platform. Thank you, Senior. The leader of the Dragon Clan was overjoyed. He held the jade slip in both hands, stood up, and bowed respectfully. Li Yun nodded, pointed to the door, and said, "You can go." Obey. The leader of the Dragon Clan handed over his hands, turned around and was about to leave, but before he even stepped out of the Tianji Tower, he suddenly realized. That's not right. He was ordered by his ancestor to come to the Tianji Tower to buy information. After he left, just in case, what should the ancestor do if he wants to buy other news? At that time, if there was someone in the Tianji building, he would not be able to get in. It would be a small matter if he could not get in. If it delayed the ancestor's important affairs, he would have his own dragon tendons. Senior. The Dragon Clan leader showed a smile that was uglier than crying. Don't worry, Aotian won't be able to come out for a while. Li Yun said lightly. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 286. Time passes. 1 month flies by in the blink of an eye. News of the birth of the true immortal heritage. After a period of time, it has spread throughout the Zixuan realm and Tianyuan realm. Many great emperors have taken action to start a war, which is horrifying to people. After this incident, some people make a lot of money, while some people not only gain nothing, but also lose their wealth and life. This is also the cruelty of the cultivation world. It has happened many times that countless monks died for a chance. Countless people are almost immune. But this time it's different. The emperor himself went to the end. Looking at the tens of millions of years before and after, it is estimated that this is the only time. In the fairy palace, the ground was stained with blood, and the evil spirit surged into the sky. Although the emperor had left, the emperor's blood was spread on the ground, filled with terrifying power. This kind of power gave the immortal palace an ominous atmosphere. Ordinary practitioners simply cannot get involved. Maybe hundreds of thousands of years later, a forbidden area will be born again here. At this time, in a secret space, the fairy energy is steaming, the light is overflowing, and the mist is lingering, just like a fairyland. Here, it is probably the only remaining pure land in the immortal palace. Aotian sat cross-legged quietly, his blood energy surging through the sky, a mighty force like Wan Yang, permeating the void, and the squeezing heaven and earth were distorting. The vast world is wailing, all surrendering. If there were any living beings here, they would definitely be trembling all over and unable to help but kowtow. In the vast expanse of energy and blood, Aotian opened his eyes. Deep in his eyes, the world was born and the world was destroyed, as if he was creating the world, which was extremely mysterious. He stood up slowly, and with the sea of blood and powerful energy, it was as if he had been reborn, and his strength increased to a higher level. It was obvious that he had just become emperor not long ago. But his power is already approaching the middle stage of the great emperor. This speed of cultivation is terrifying. Aotian has a majestic head and horns, and his body is like jade. He stands in the space, overlooking all living things. So powerful that it makes people's hearts tremble. Holding the sun and moon in my hands and picking up stars, there is no one like me in the world. Tianyuan world, your dragon emperor is back. Aotian's figure was indifferent, his imperial robes were billowing, and a dragon ball on his head shone through the mountains and rivers thousands of miles away, blooming with billions of rays of light, illuminating the whole world. He raised his steps and took one step forward. A cold voice sounded in the void. Echo in. On the day when this emperor returns, all the rebellious ministers shall die. The words just fell. There was a thud, and Ao Xian hit a restriction. The restriction left by a true immortal, even after hundreds of millions of years, is still indestructible. The moment Ao Xian hit it, it was bounced tens of thousands of miles. This road is blocked. Ao Xian looked embarrassed, and he glanced at Yu Jian. The master of Tianji only gave him one route, and he had no way to get out from anywhere else. Fortunately no one saw it. Ao Xian glanced around, breathed a sigh of relief, put the jade slip away, and walked out again, obediently following the route he came in. On the way out, he took out a jade slip again and sent a message to his junior. Please help me ask the senior poster how Menkingzi's formation preparations are going. I am going to have a big fight. Now my strength has greatly improved. Everything in this immortal palace should belong to this emperor. Ao Xuanzi was very proud. He passed the Taoist platform left by a true immortal, and now he can almost fight with Emperor Moun. If he is lucky, he can even fight with the Emperor Tai and others of Zixuan realm. They are on par with each other. With such strength, how can he live up to his reputation as the Dragon Emperor without shocking all the races in the world? Today, he wants to make the name of the dragon race spread throughout the world. Billions of years later, any creature in the world must be in awe when mentioning the dragon clan. Any creature that chants its true name of Ao Xian will see eternal life in reincarnation. Buzz. The jade slip lit up, bringing Ao Xian's thoughts back to reality. Ancestor, are you out? Ao Xian responded indifferently and wrote back, have you asked about the news? Well. On the other end of the jade slip, the leader of the dragon clan was at a loss for words. He paused for a long time before responding. Emperor Juyu has already laid out the formation, but... Oh! Ao Xian's eyes lit up. Emperor Juyu didn't have to think about it, it must be Menkingzi. Unexpectedly, Menkingzi was quite fast and had already laid out the formation. Although he was a junior, he had not finished telling the news. But he had already roughly said it. Guessed it? Menkingzi must be in danger. Sure enough. Menkingzi still can't do it. Without himself as the Dragon Emperor, what else can Menkingzi do? With the formation and his own combat power, he can still encounter trouble. From this it can be seen that the fact that he became emperor at the same time as Menkingzi is the biggest stain in his life. The strongest emperor and the weakest emperor are in the same era. How can he not let his face be tarnished? How is Menkingzi doing now? Ao Xian asked. Emperor Juyu is being raped at this moment, chase. Among the people who were chasing Emperor Juyu, there were not only the Forbidden Area Emperor of Tianyuan realm, but also Ling Xiao, an emperor from Earth Immortal realm, and 2 Forbidden Area emperors from Zixuan realm. The Dragon Clan leader responded slowly. Being hunted. Ao Xian was so angry. Menkingzi must have been too good at this. He set up a formation and bought information from the senior poster, but at the end of the game, he ended up in a situation where he was being hunted. Just 1 or 2 of them. That's it? After he counted carefully, he discovered to his surprise that there were 5 or 6 emperors who were chasing Menkingzi. Whatever. Ao Xian sighed softly and said, after I have collected all the inheritance in the Immortal Palace, I will go and help Mengcheng. After all, the 2 of them have fought side by side. Menkingzi was being hunted. He couldn't sit idly by. If he fought 1 against 5 and stabilized the battle situation, wouldn't it prove sideways that there were countless differences between him and Menkingzi? Ling Xiao? There is a clue to this matter. Saving Menkingzi is secondary, showing his face is the main purpose. Whoosh! The next moment, the void cracked. Ao Xian walked out of the confinement and looked around. It was desolate. The originally auspicious and peaceful fairyland was gone. There were broken walls and ruins everywhere. Moreover, there was a great emperor before. There was a fight, but not even a single figure could be seen within a million miles. Ao Xian looked at the scene in front of him, his head was a little dazed. What the hell is this? Where is the inheritance? Where is the emperor? Why is the emperor's opponent missing? What happened? What about the inheritance within the immortal palace? Everyone is dead. Ao Xian murmured to himself. Fortunately, he reacted quickly and quickly sent a message to his junior to ask. It didn't take long for the reply from the dragon clan leader to come. Ancestor, you don't know something. It has been almost a month since you entered the land of true immortal inheritance. 1. A month. Ao Xian was dumbfounded. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 287. 1 month's time. It's not long, it's not short. It's enough for the inheritance of the true immortal to come to an end. Ancestor. The leader of the dragon clan sent a message. Until this moment, he breathed a sigh of relief. Some time ago, he left the Tianji Tower. Every day, he worried whether his ancestor would suddenly ask him if he was still in the Tianji Tower. Now it seems that everything cannot be hidden from the senior poster's discernment. As early as the opportunity for the ancestor to buy the enlightenment platform left by the true immortal, the senior poster has already calculated everything today. Because of this, let him directly he left Tianji Tower. Has it been this long? Ao Xian felt like he was in another world. He had returned invincible, but his former opponents were nowhere to be seen. He drew his sword and looked around at a loss. How is Menkingzi doing? Ao Xian asked. Before the true immortal inheritance, Emperor Juyo set up a large formation to kill an emperor from the restricted area of the Purple Xian realm, and severely injured 2 emperors from the Tianyuan realm. The result is not very good now. 3 days ago, he had entered the chaotic Star Sea, and his fate was unknown. The leader of the dragon clan responded. Ao Xian. Before. He thought Menkingzi had done nothing. Now it seems. Didn't you do anything? This is a big deal and has aroused public outrage. Otherwise, why would people be so crazy about chasing him? Pity. Ao Xian secretly said it was a pity. At this time, he was not present. If he were there, the amount would have to be doubled at least. By then, both of them might be able to make a fortune. The dragon clan is also very greedy for the wealth of a great emperor. Even if you can't kill him, grabbing their imperial soldiers is a huge fortune. It seems. Ao Xian took 1 step forward and came to the outside of the immortal palace. He looked towards the direction of Tianyuan realm and murmured, it's time for me to go to the sea of chaotic stars. At the same time, Tianyuan world. In a void of space. This space seems to be located in a chaotic zone, with chaotic mist rolling around it. An ancient sacred city stands majestically, with mottled walls covered with traces of time. Symbols are looming on the surface, intertwining the power of the Great Avenue. Any living being who is close to the divine city can feel the prosperity in the city, and all kinds of blood and energy are mixed together, forming a majestic force. Like a copper furnace of heaven and earth. Aha! In the chaos, golden light flashed. The city gate rumbled open, and a creature covered in blood rushed into the city gate. Soldiers holding spears and armor on both sides looked at the direction of the city gate in surprise, feeling a little weird in their hearts. Judging from the breath, it seems that the commander-in-chief is back. But judging from the situation, the commander-in-chief seems to have been seriously injured, which is very not optimistic. It is just a Tianyuan world. Is it possible that someone can seriously injure the commander-in-chief? This is a bit incredible. Hongxian carried the remaining body and arrived in front of a palace without slowing down. This place was filled with dragon energy, one by one, turning into clouds and steaming up. The purple energy was luxurious, and every palace around it was filled with thousands of people. The Tao covers it. It is really a miracle that there is such a pure land in chaos. Because every cultivator knows clearly that for most creatures, chaos is a dead end, and there is no distinction between up, down, left and right. Even if the emperor wanders around inside, there is a possibility of falling. But the everlasting city, ancient, and vicissitudes of life, located in the chaos, is completely unharmed, which makes people feel shocked. My subordinate, Hongxian, pays homage to the city lord. Hongxuan's face was bloodless, and his body was still broken. Blood seeped out and dyed the ground red. He prostrated on the ground, with a very respectful expression, and kowtowed to the hall in front of him. A great emperor bowed his head. If it spread to the outside world, it would probably cause a stir. Uproar. Buzz. The next moment, an ancient mirror flashed, rushed out of the hall, suspended in the void, simple and majestic, as if appearing out of thin air, with chaotic waterfalls falling down. The scene was magnificent. Immortal soldier. This is a supreme true immortal. The weapon is flawless and possesses heaven-defying power. He seems to have been born with a will and resurrected independently, exuding the majestic aura of a supreme immortal. At this moment, in the entire Tianhuang Eternal City, all living beings are in their hearts. Trembling, I couldn't help but knelt down, lying on the ground, and kowtowed towards the ancient mirror. Laugh. The ancient mirror flipped over. Floating up and down in the chaos, a ray of light disappeared in a blink of an eye, traveling across hundreds of millions of miles, as if reversing time, and landed on Hongxian. The injuries on the surface of his body appeared at a speed visible to the naked eye. Recovered quickly. Even the broken half of the body slowly grew back. Although it did not fully recover. At this time, Hongxian once again had the 5th level of combat power. The emperor generally will not be easily injured. Once he is seriously injured, then the recovery time will be calculated in tens of thousands of years, and it will take tens of thousands of years to recover from the injury. This is all commonplace. Thank you very much, City Lord. Hongxian said respectfully. How did things go? The palace is majestic. It is like an ancient sky tower sitting in the chaos. As the sound is transmitted, the universe, heaven and earth, are all manifested at this moment. A tall figure, with disheveled hair, shrouded in mist in the middle, a shadow that makes people unable to see clearly, stood between the sky and the earth. His eyes opened and closed, the sun fell and the moon fell, which contained a terrifying scene of world destruction. Where he sat cross-legged, chaos and mist filled the air, and there was a faint sound beside him. There were various majestic sounds such as world sound, Dao Tianyin, etc., and the breath covered the heavens. It was like an ancient existence before the creation of the world. Daoxing didn't know how terrifying it was. The subordinates were incompetent and failed to bring back the inheritance of the true immortal. Hongxian looked ashamed and blamed himself. His strength was stronger than some old monsters in the forbidden area in Tianyuan world, but he never expected that Meng Qingzi would be killed at the critical moment. The first move was a killing move. He relied on a killing array to force himself to not self-destruct, and then barely escaped with his life. Although he escaped, he lost his storage ring. In other words, he lost his storage ring. This time, he not only gained nothing from the true immortal inheritance, but also lost many years of experience. It can be said that he lost it to his grandma's family. But had an accident. In the palace, the voice came out, it was extremely loud, echoing in the chaos, without any emotion, let alone joy or anger. No one could tell what the city lord was thinking in his voice. It's Meng Qingzi from the Tianyuan world. If he hadn't appeared to stop him, his subordinates would have brought back the true immortal inheritance. Hongxian gritted his teeth and said. There was a trace of anger in his words. His true strength was far superior to Meng Qingzi, but he was tricked by the other party. He couldn't swallow this breath no matter what. Just ants. The city lord said indifferently. Do you need me to help you erase it? I would like to thank the city lord, but I want to avenge this big revenge myself. Hongxian said in a deep voice. He knew the strength of the city lord very well. He had gone a long way in the realm of true immortals. He was just curious about the inheritance of the true immortals born this time. He wanted to see another one. What is the path that a true immortal takes? This inheritance is not necessary for him, but he still feels ashamed that he failed the task assigned by the city lord. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 288. Can. The two words came out. The entire Tianhuang Eternal City was roaring and trembling. All the creatures in the city were shocked when they heard this sound. You are seriously injured, please go down to recuperate for the time being. The phantom stood in the sky, like the incarnation of heaven. He lowered his head slightly and looked at Hongxian, his voice filled with inexplicable power. City Lord. Hongxian was about to speak but stopped. What else? Su Ying said lightly. When the subordinate fought against Meng Qingzi, he was recognized by the other party. Hongxian recalled the scene at that time and said solemnly. The everlasting city came from a terrifying world, and only the creatures in the city knew about it. Long years have passed. Although people in the cultivation world are slow to update and iterate, there are also many creatures of the new generation have forgotten the fact that they belong to another world. Many people almost mistakenly believe that they were born in the Tianyuan world, and that Tianhuang Eternal City is just a transcendent force in the Tianyuan world. Nowadays, only a few senior officials of the everlasting city are left who still have the obsession to return and have always hoped to return. Among them, Hongxian and the city lord are included. They are worried that the longer time goes by, the more time will pass. The old city will slowly assimilate with the Tianyuan world, and future generations will gradually forget the fact that they belong to another world. For this reason, the Eternal City will not easily enter the Tianyuan world. In the Tianyuan world, there is no such thing as there are rumors about the everlasting city, but someone happened to recognize Hongxuan's identity. There is a hint of weirdness in it. Meng Qingzi. The city lord's voice was hollow, like a god or a saint, without human emotions. Where did you get the news about him? Have you ever found out? Reporting back to the city lord, his subordinates suspected that Meng Qingzi got the news from Tianji Tower, and, Meng Qingzi did not deny it at the time. Hongxian said with cupped hands. Tianji Tower. Hearing these three words. For the first time, there was a hint of excitement in the voice of the Tianhuang Bulao city lord. He was very unfamiliar with the Tianji building master. But he knew everything about the fusion of Tianyuan realm and Zixuan realm, and the information he knows far exceeds that of anyone else. This is the gap in strength. Only by standing higher can you see more. He asked himself, it would be very easy to destroy Tianyuan world or Zixuan world with a wave of his hand. But destruction and creation will never be on the same level. Destruction of the world is simple. But the difficulty of creation will increase exponentially. It is simply unheard of to promote one world and integrate it with another world without a large-scale disaster happening. He thought to himself that he couldn't do it. As for the person behind the scenes, he still hasn't found the person. Looking at the entire Tianyuan world, the only one he can't see clearly is the Tianji Tower, so I am also wondering if it is the owner of Tianji who is taking action. If so, the strength of the owner of Tianji is very likely to be above him. I can tell who you are, and the owner of Tianji does have some tricks. The city lord said indifferently. City lord. Hongxian hesitated for a moment and continued. Meng Qingzi not only recognized the identity of his subordinates, but also bluntly said that the everlasting city does not belong to this world. And Meng Qingzi also asked about the biggest secret in the city. That's what we're looking for our way back to. Oh. The city lord said softly, with a hint of food for thought in his voice. If he just recognized that Hongxian belongs to the everlasting city, it would be nothing. After all, the everlasting city has been in the Tianyuan world for some time. Thousands of people after 10,000 years, there will eventually be something. In history, some great emperors from the Tianyuan realm have discovered traces of the everlasting city, but no one can get close to it. But if it is to recognize the origin of the everlasting city, then it's not simple anymore. Will the owner of Tianji know how to return to the original world in Tianhuang Eternal City? At this moment, the city owner and Hongxian thought of something. After tens of millions of years of persistence, they just want to go back. Today there are a glimmer of hope appeared, and they refuse to let go of this glimmer of hope no matter what. Thinking of the power of the Lord Tianji to promote the integration of the two worlds. The Lord of the everlasting city, whose heart has not fluctuated for hundreds of millions of years, suddenly emerged. A trace of ripples. Is what you just said true? The city lord asked in a deep voice. Everything my subordinates say is true. Hongxian said firmly. Good. The city lord nodded, opened and closed his eyes, penetrated all the worlds, and landed in the Tianyuan world. He said with a hint of hope in his voice. Go to the Tianyuan world in person, go to the Tianji Tower, and see if this mysterious owner of the Tianji Tower really has a way to return us to the original world. Yes. Hongxian handed over his hand. Let him go, which shows the city lord's high regard for Tianji Tower. The reason why the city lord doesn't go in person is because his life is running out, and the supreme immortal cannot live forever. In the original world, the city lord he can live longer. But in the Tianyuan world, he has been suppressed by the law of heaven. His lifespan has been cut in half, and now he can only seal himself in the city to slow down the passage of life. If he steps out of the eternal city, he may never grow old. How long will it take before he will run out of life and die? This is also the real reason why the everlasting city has always wanted to return. Only by returning can his strength be further improved and he can survive. City Lord. Hongxian did not leave, but looked embarrassed and hesitated to speak. What else? The Lord of the everlasting city said in confusion. There was a bit of embarrassment in Hongxuan's eyes, and he said sheepishly, I heard that although the information about Tianji Tower is extremely accurate, it is also very expensive. The subordinate's storage ring was snatched away by Meng Qingzi, so this is his problem. As a person in the late stage of the great emperor, he was actually tricked by a person who had just become an emperor. It is a bit hard to talk about it now. I understand. The city lord spoke calmly. As soon as his voice fell, a stream of light flew out, crossed the void, and landed in front of Hongxian. He stretched out his hands, and the stream of light dispersed, turning into an antique bracelet, covered with mysterious patterns, with one an ancient atmosphere permeates the air. Thank you very much, city lord. Hongxian bowed down. Go ahead. The city lord waved his hand, and the shadow disappeared, as if it had never appeared before. The everlasting city returned to its former tranquility, and everything was in order. Yes. Hongxian raised his hands to the void. He turned around and took a deep breath. His consciousness inadvertently glanced at the bracelet. Even he took a breath of air conditioning at the items in it. It was too precious. Some of them were he is very greedy for these things. He has only heard about them in rumors and has never seen them before. He has never seen them, let alone other creatures in the Tianyuan world. This is something that belongs exclusively to their original world. It seems that the city lord is also determined to return. Hongxian turned around and glanced at the palace behind him, thinking in his mind. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 289. Tianji Tower. 1 month has passed, and the number of people in front of the Tianji Tower has increased instead of decreasing. During this time, the number of people coming and going to Tianji Tower has increased a lot. Every day, many people come to buy information, buy opportunities, and so on. There are even creatures from the earthly and immortal world who come to inquire about the way back. Unfortunately, among these forces, there is no great emperor. After all, there are really too few great emperors who have come down from the earthly immortal realm. Each of them has their own belonging. They did not come to buy the information. Even if other forces bought it, they would not be able to use it at all. And the reason why those great emperors from the earthly immortal realm did not come to Tianji Tower, Li Yun also guessed it in his heart. The reason is that it took too long for the emperor to open up a space channel. It could easily take thousands of years. Who can afford to wait? Rather than wasting time and effort, it is better to wait with peace of mind. Those ancestor-level figures in the earthly immortal world will also think of their own solutions. For example, Yugzu Palace. Yang Jian, the first disciple of the third generation, is still in Zixuan realm, and there is no reason for Yugzu Palace to sit idly by. Maybe a few more days. The passage between the two realms has been reopened. More than 50 million Tianji points. Li Yun took a look at the light blue light curtain floating in front of him, and felt a little emotional in his heart. Once upon a time, I have racked my brains for a few secret points, but now I can easily get tens of millions. In a while, I can think about the 1 Qi transformation of 3 purities and the 8-9 mysterious techniques. As for the disadvantages of changing exercises, he had never thought about this. As long as he could solve it with secret points, it wouldn't be a problem. The reputation is spread. Tianjilu doesn't have to worry about others not coming to the door. Having broken through the realm behind the true immortal, it should be possible to bring the earthly immortal realm over and merge it with the Tianyuan realm. Li Yun raised his palm and rubbed his chin slightly, with thoughts flashing in his eyes. In his opinion, this is a good idea. I traveled all over the world, and as soon as I got my reputation, I went to another world. This was a bit of a loss outweighing the gains. After all, reputation is the hardest thing to accumulate. There are countless examples of many forces and millions of years of fame being wiped out in one night. His reputation is now at its peak. Instead of running around all the worlds, it would be better to pull each world over. All of them are merged together, and you can create a most powerful world, superior to all the heavens and worlds. Wouldn't it be beautiful? As for bringing other worlds over, will there be any conflict between the two worlds? He had never thought about this. He doesn't need to think about it, because this is something that all living beings need to consider. War is very possible. After all, the world is a stagnant water, which is not a good thing for his Tianji Tower, as long as it is within the controllable range. Whatever they want to fight. Li Yun nodded, approving his idea. With more worlds, there are more opportunities, and the Tianji Tower has more room to play. Although I didn't create the world, a brand new powerful world was born from my own hands. Just thinking about it makes me a little excited. Nowadays, the creatures in Tianyuan realm and Zixuan realm are still a little unfamiliar with the earthly immortal realm. Li Yun pondered for a moment. Whatever. Today, I will let the creatures from both worlds know more about the earthly and immortal world. Li Yun made up his mind. The earthly immortal realm is too strong. If Tianyuan realm and Zixuan realm don't know more about each other, he may be crushed one day when he brings the earthly immortal realm over. And the immortal clan in the earthly immortal realm suddenly discovered that there are two more worlds on the periphery of their own world. I guess they are also very surprised. The three realms are integrated and the world level is improved. Sooner or later, there will be no gap anywhere. At that time, it will be a fierce battle for the chassis. If the Zixuan realm and the Tianyuan world didn't know anything, and it might be defeated by the earthly immortal world. With an idea in mind, he quickly said. The system ranks the lists of the two worlds, Earth Immortal Realm and Zixuan Realm, according to Tianyuan Realm. At the same time, the Tianyuan Realm 10,000 Races Tianjiao list will be renamed Tianyuan Tianjiao list, and then a 10,000 Realms Tianjiao list will be compiled, and each additional world will be integrated in the future. System, please remember to update the list on time. This list still has 500 places. He had thought about the 10,000 Realms talent list before, but he had never done it because there were too few worlds. There were only Zixuan Realm and Tianyuan Realm. It always felt weird to add the word 10,000 Realms. Now with the addition of the Earth Immortal Realm, it can barely be regarded as the 10,000 Realms. At present, it's just the beginning. 500 places are enough. At most, the competition will be a little cruel. In the future, it will really connect all the worlds. 500 places are not even enough to fill the gaps between teeth. Even if there are 10,000, there may not be one in every world. And in a world with billions of creatures, not one person is on the list. This makes people understand at a glance that that world is stronger and that world is weaker. By then, whoever is not on the list will be embarrassed. System, release the list. Li Yun glanced at several lists, nodded with satisfaction, waved his hand and said. As soon as he finished speaking. Whoa! Over Dawang City, several rays of light flickered, and a ball of light curtain fell from the sky and turned into a stone tablet, as if it appeared from ancient times. With an ancient and vicissitudes of life. It suddenly settled on the sky. The surface of the stone tablet was covered with words. It looked indestructible. I don't know what kind of material it was made of. It was daunting. New list. This scene. Many residents of Dawang City are already very familiar with it. The previous lists were all about this scene. Many people stay near Dawang City, waiting for this moment to arrive every day. New the appearance of the list means that there are some people in this world who want to be above all living beings. Even if it is the heavenly sin list, it is not something that ordinary people can get on. As for the other Holy Lord list and Tianjiao list, each one has a name on it. A person with a surname will automatically become 3 points taller when he goes out. He does not need to introduce himself, he just needs to go to that station. Countless people will automatically introduce his name to the people next to him. List of Holy Lords, list of prodigies, list of crown princes, and list of heavenly sins, is this the same as before? Several lists came out and attracted countless attention. Soon someone discovered the similarities. This is the list of Zixuanja. An old saint exclaimed. The war between the Tianyuan realm and the Zixuan realm lasted for a long time. To this day, the two realms still have friction. In the wilderness of the universe, they can't afford to fight, but small battles continue. Not only the creatures in the Tianyuan realm are curious about each other. Is there anyone who is so amazingly talented? Even Zixuan realm wants to know what the talents of their own world are like. When they see Tianyuan realm's geniuses going out, they claim to be where they are on the genius list. They feel dissatisfied. Envy, that's impossible. It's a pity. They don't have a list. They make a list for themselves. No one believes it at all. They just watch it as a joke. After waiting for a while, the creatures of the purple mystic realm finally ushered in. They have their own dawn. They also have their own list of geniuses. Fantasy, me. Create a secret building at the beginning. Author, Mavericks Flying. Chapter 290. Not in the purple mysterious realm. Many people looked at the list of geniuses in Zixuan realm and frowned. Originally, in the battle between Tianyuan realm and Zixuan realm, 3 great emperors came out. If it weren't for Meng Qingzi, Dragon Emperor, and Ling Xiaocheng Emperor, they would have defeated. In the 2 realms of Zixuan and Tianyuan, every living being thinks that the Zixuan realm is stronger. Even the people of the Tianyuan realm have not denied it. After all, there are 4 great emperors in the Zixuan realm. The first, the existence of a successful emperor has been hidden in the world, but before he died, just these 3 great emperors have put a hammer on the Tianyuan world. Which one is higher and which one is lower is clear at a glance. But in such a tyrannical world, they are number 1 on the genius list. The peak of the reborn realm. Let's look at the Tianyuan realm again. Yu Qingxian, who is number 1 on the list of Tianxiao, is already in the middle stage of the Tianxiang realm. There is a gap of 2 realms between the 2. You know, even if they are both Tianxiao, there is only a slight difference. They are all very different, not to mention 2 big realms apart. Such a gap. With almost a look, the former can instantly kill the latter. There is no comparison. Although the Zixuan realm is strong now, in tens of thousands of years it will probably not be a concern. An old saint king looked at the list in the void and said with a smile. Now the Dragon Emperor and others, the 3 emperors, stand side by side. They have withstood the pressure of the Zixuan realm. The Tianyuan realm will not be destroyed now, and it will be even more impossible in the future as long as we withstand the pressure of tens of thousands of years and wait for the next generation of geniuses to rise. The purple mystic realm can be destroyed with the flip of a palm. Good. Someone next to him nodded and echoed. From these lists released by Tianji Poster, we can see the foundation of a world. In our Tianyuan world, we not only have young emperors like Yu Qingxian, but there are also monster-level characters such as Chaos Lu Wu, Young Master Kunpeng, Ye Chen, Lin Zhan, etc. Anyone can sweep away the geniuses of Zixuan realm. This statement makes perfect sense. Many people nodded. Without Ye Chen, Lin Zhan, and others taking action, we, the Holy Son of Taishu, can sweep away everyone on the list of geniuses in the Zixuan realm. A disciple from the inner sect of Taishu Holy Land said proudly. During this period, the strength behind every genius on the Tianjiao list came to the Tianji Tower to buy opportunities, for fear that their own saints would be squeezed off the list, and they were quite armed. There is a sense of competition in it. The holy sons of Taishu are naturally not immune. After all, their holy sons are not weak. They rank very high on the Tianjiao list. Their current strength has reached the early stage of the heavenly transformation realm. Compared with the top 10 on the Tianyuan Tianjiao list, there is a slight difference in existence, but the gap is not too big. Those people are just in the middle stage of the heaven transformation realm. Given time, it may not be impossible for the Holy Son of the Beginning to catch up. If these 2 genius lists had appeared half a year ago, I am afraid that the gap between Zixuan realm and Tianyuan realm would not be too big. A great sage said with emotion. This is a great sage from the Golden Crow clan. His strength is very terrifying. As he speaks, golden light is erupting all over his body, and the true fire of the sun is flowing. It is extremely gorgeous. Yes. Many people are very emotional. If Tianji Luzi did not exist, who would know that there is Yu Qingxian in the world today, such a terrifying young genius? Without Yu Qingxian, all the geniuses on the list may not such crazy cultivation. Because, there was a very dazzling existence, which inspired their competitive spirit. Everyone rushed to be the first, and then they all broke through the rebirth realm. Otherwise, most of the geniuses now are probably still at the peak of the rebirth realm. Work hard to gain foundation. As for those beings who have cultivated to the middle stage of heaven transformation realm, they are indispensable without the help of Master Tianji, without the opportunity of Master Tianji's guidance. Just because they break through this point so crazily, they will quickly exhaust their potential, even if it is a temporary lead, but the future achievements will be like that. With the existence of Tianji Luzhu, it perfectly makes up for the problem of their background. There is nothing that cannot be solved by one chance. If one is not enough, then two. All the clans in the Tianyuan realm have only achieved what they have achieved today by relying on the guidance of the senior Tianji building master. If they were to fight against each other in the same realm, it's hard to say who will win and who will lose. A creature from the purple mystic realm, with light clouds and gentle breeze, stood in the crowd, his whole body blooming with treasure, like a god, extremely powerful. Between his eyebrows, a scale shone brightly, exuding inexplicable lines. When people take one look at it, they feel as if they have fallen into boundless purgatory. Illusions are everywhere. This is a powerful illusion. No one dares to look at it. How dare the creatures from the purple mysterious realm be so unruly in the great wilderness city? Someone scolded in a cold voice. Oh, you can come to Dawang City, but the creatures from my Zhixian realm can't come? To be honest with you, I have already sent this list back to Zixuan realm. It won't be long before the people on our Zixuan realm Prince Emperor list will come to Tianji Tower to look for buying opportunities from the senior owner. This creature from the Zixuan realm has an indifferent expression and is not afraid at all when facing countless creatures from the Tianyuan realm. He himself has the cultivation of the peak of the great sage. In addition, in the desert city, no one dares to take action here, so he said no one will dare to go against him. As for whether anyone will make trouble for him after he leaves, this can be easily solved. Just wait in Dawang City. Several lists will be released. It is estimated that it will not take long, Zixuan there will be some quasi-emperors arriving in the world. At that time, I will follow the quasi-emperors and leave calmly. Several quasi-emperors in Tianyuan realm will become emperors in their Zixuan realm. How can I not retaliate for this bad breath? Maybe, after some time, several quasi-emperors in their Zixuan realm will become emperors in the Tianyuan realm. As a result, the strength of the two realms will still be very different. List of princes of the Purple Xian realm. Many people looked up into the void. The current high-level combat power of Zixuan realm and Tianyuan realm is barely equal. The only difference is the presence on the prodigy list, which has been roughly swept through the emperor ranking. There is no difference between the two worlds. The creatures on every list are at the pinnacle of quasi-emperors. They have lived for who knows how many years, and are only a hair away from being great emperors. If true, let the quasi-emperor of the Zixuan realm become an emperor in the Tianyuan realm. That would be great fun. At this time, shouldn't Tianyuan realm and Zixuan realm join forces to fight against the earthly immortal realm? At this time, a casual cultivator said in a faint voice. After hearing this sentence, many people's expressions changed. This time, the senior poster not only released various rankings of the Zixuan realm, but also included the rankings of the earthly immortal realm. Don't you think the strength of the earthly immortal realm is a bit scary? The casual cultivator who just spoke again. Everyone's heart skipped a beat, and they looked towards the void again. The list of the three worlds was divided into three areas, and the middle one belonged to the earthly immortal world. Among them, one of the geniuses, the list looms large in front of your eyes. Going up, there is an even more eye-catching list of geniuses from all over the world.